Now to the congressional drama in Washington, where this morning Minnesota Democrat Ilhan Omar remains defiant after Republicans took the dramatic step of voting to remove her from the Foreign Affairs Committee.
Is anyone surprised that I am somehow deemed unworthy to speak about American foreign policy, or that they see me as a powerful voice that needs to be silenced? My leadership and voice will not be diminished if I am not on this committee for one term.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says the move was in response to Omar's past comments, which both Republicans and Democrats condemned as anti-Semitic, comments Omar later apologized for. For more, we're joined by NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Tsirkin. So, Julie, the White House has called this a political stunt. How are House Democrats responding?
Yeah, there were a series of impassioned speeches on the floor yesterday as lawmakers from both sides of the aisle debated this issue just ahead of the vote that ultimately led to Ilhan Omar, that congresswoman from Minnesota, to be booted off the powerful Foreign Affairs Committee for several anti-Semitic comments that she has made in the past and apologized for. And her Democratic colleagues took to the floor in support. I want you to take a listen to what one of them had to say, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes, and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body.
So, of course, she's talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. There is talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, the member who Democrats actually had to boot off of committees because of her remarks about Jews, anti-Semitic tropes that she had made, comments about 9/11 as well. Now Marjorie Taylor Greene is back on powerful committees, including Oversight and Homeland. So, of course, Democrats seeing this as historically hypocrisy from Republicans.
Yeah, saying it's a double standard on their end. I mean, Julie, we got to mention the vote to remove Omar almost did not happen. Originally, not all Republicans wanted to take her off the Foreign Affairs Committee. That's important to point out. So what was going on behind the scenes, and what exactly changed?
Yeah, exactly, Zinkley. When we started this week, Kevin McCarthy, the House Speaker, didn't have the vote to boot Ilhan Omar off of this committee. That's because several Republicans spoke out, including lawmakers like Victoria Spartz, Nancy Mace of South Carolina, and Ken Buck from Colorado. All of them got concessions from Speaker McCarthy, which is, I think, very significant that McCarthy used his limited political capital to make this happen. He conceded to those members that there will be some kind of bipartisan process in the future, that Ilhan Omar will be able to repeal this somehow with the House Ethics Panel, which is why one member, actually a Republican from Ohio, voted present. He's on the Ethics Committee and wants to make sure that there is due process here for Omar.
And Julie, you're in D.C. It's no secret the House is seemingly as divided as ever. Speaker McCarthy, who we were just talking about, is proposing actually creating a panel to come up with a code of conduct for members sitting on committees. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this was one of those concessions he made to those three members. And look, it's not clear if Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, is going to take him up on this. But just in the few weeks that this Congress has been running in the House, we've seen really just partisan entanglements on these powerful committees. It's not clear that they're able to run them effectively. I've heard from lawmakers on both sides expressing concern just over this partisan bickering. And so Kevin McCarthy is proposing a bipartisan commission to examine now and in the future any member who makes any sort of comment or rules by which these members will then be able to be booted off these committees, to make sure it's not as much of a partisan process in the future as we've seen in the last 2 years, both under Democrats and Republicans. So again, not clear if this commission is ever going to come to light, but it's certainly a nice idea that McCarthy had.
A lot to watch out for. Julie Tsirkin, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.